The outer colonies of the Velrothi Union had not seen war in over 40 cycles. Trade lanes were stable. Defense fleets rotated normally. Deep space beyond the border remained cold, empty, and irrelevant until the signal arrived. It began as a low pulse buried beneath background radiation. At first, the sensor teams assumed it was debris interference from a dying star, but the pulse repeated exactly every 30 seconds. Perfect timing. Perfect consistency. Commander Therex stood on the bridge of the battlecruiser Valor as officers rerouted long-range scanners toward the dark region outside map space. The stars there looked empty. No colonies, no trade routes, no military outposts. Nothing should have existed there, yet something was moving. Mass reading confirmed. The sensor officer whispered. Therex did not turn immediately. Pirates? No, Commander. A mining convoy? No transponder. The officer hesitated before continuing. It's too large. The bridge fell silent. How large? The holographic display expanded outward. A faint shape emerged against the darkness. Slow, steady, massive, bigger than any known Velrothi carrier. The object emitted almost no visible engine flare, no aggressive power spikes, no combat signatures. It simply moved forward with impossible calm. Then the signal echoed again through every communication channel. A single pulse. Deep, heavy, certain. The communications officer isolated the transmission structure. Lines of primitive binary code unfolded across the display. It's repeating a phrase, she said quietly. Therex stepped closer. Translate it. The system processed for several seconds. Then the words appeared. Human Titan approaching. Nobody spoke. Even the air on the bridge felt heavier after reading it. The word human carried old memories. The Velrothi had fought humanity once. Only once. That had been enough. 38 cycles earlier, a border fleet attempted to seize a small human research station near the Perseus Drift. Human territory had seemed weak then, scattered, young, unimportant. The Velrothi lost 9 warships in 11 minutes. Not because humans attacked first, because humans never retreated. That was the part the galaxy remembered. Human fleets fought like civilizations protecting something sacred. They did not surrender positions. They did not abandon survivors. They did not stop once committed. And worst of all, human warships kept advancing, even while burning apart. The bridge lights dimmed slightly as defensive systems activated automatically. No one had ordered it. Fear had. The pulse sounded again. Human Titan approaching. Still calm. Still steady. Not a threat. Not a warning. A statement. Therex studied the growing mass on the display. Only one ship. No escorts. No strike craft. No invasion fleet. Just one colossal vessel emerging slowly from deep space like a moving fortress. That makes no sense, one officer whispered. Therex agreed silently. Humans never move strategic assets without purpose, especially not Titans. Historical records describe Titan-class vessels as mobile citadels capable of holding entire sectors alone. Planetary siege weapons, layered fortress shields, fleet killer rail systems. But the terrifying part was never their weapons. It was their patience. Human Titans did not rush into battle. They arrived and waited. The sensor officer suddenly stiffened. Commander visual range achieved. The main screen shifted. At first it looked like a shadow swallowing stars. Then details emerged. Dark armor plating layered across a hull so enormous it resembled a drifting city. Massive weapon batteries recessed beneath protective armor. Shield emitters glowing faint blue across the surface. No wasted motion. No aggression. Just unstoppable presence. The scale markers updated rapidly. Length, unknown. Mass, equivalent to a small moon fragment. Energy output, restricted. Current operational capacity, below 20%. A murmur spread across the bridge. At 20% power, the ship already matched the energy output of the entire Velrothi border fleet. The pulse echoed again. Human Titan approaching. This time it felt closer. Commander Therex stared at the massive vessel moving silently through the stars. Then he realized the most frightening detail of all. Its weapons were not targeting anyone. Its shields were barely raised. The human ship was not behaving like something entering hostile territory. It was behaving like something that already knew nobody could stop it. And somewhere deep in his chest, Commander Theric felt a cold certainty settle into place. The galaxy was about to change again. The human Titan continued forward without changing speed. No attack formation. No shield escalation. No communication beyond the repeating signal. Yet across the Velrothi system, fear spread faster than any fleet warning ever could. Mining colonies suspended operations. Cargo routes halted mid-transit. Civilian networks flooded with emergency speculation. The signal echoed everywhere. Human Titan approaching. The words became more than a transmission. They became a presence. Commander Theric stood motionless on the bridge of the Valor, while tactical officers tracked every movement of the approaching vessel. Distance, he asked quietly. 90 minutes until outer defense perimeter. Too slow for an assault. Too deliberate for coincidence. The doors behind him opened sharply. Commander, the communications officer said, the High Council is requesting immediate strategic assembly. Theric nodded once and moved quickly toward the command chamber. Moments later, 12 holographic figures appeared around the circular room. Leaders of the Velrothi Union stared at the projected image floating above the chamber floor. The human Titan. Dark, silent, enormous. Council Prime Avarice spoke first, confirmed the report. Theric folded his hands behind his back. It is human. A heavy silence followed. Another council member leaned forward nervously. Why would humanity send a Titan into our territory? Theric answered honestly. Humans do not move Titans unless something matters. That statement unsettled the room even more. The oldest council member spoke next, voice quieter than the others. The last Titan deployment was during the Oran collapse. Several faces darkened immediately. Everyone knew that story. 30 cycles earlier, the Oran Empire had attempted to eradicate a human frontier colony after a trade dispute escalated into open conflict. The Orans possessed nearly 4 times humanity's fleet strength. It did not matter. Historical footage suddenly appeared in the center of the chamber. A black human Titan emerging from hyperspace above a burning colony world. Oran fleets opened fire instantly. Thousands of plasma impacts struck the Titan's shields. No effect. The Titan kept moving. Slowly, steadily, like a mountain drifting through space. Then the human ship fired once. A single magnetic lance cut across the battlefield. 8 Oran warships disappeared. Not damaged. Gone. The footage continued. Oran fleets attempted retreat. The Titan did not pursue. It simply positioned itself between the colony and the remaining enemy forces. Guarding. Watching. Waiting. Council Prime Avarice broke the silence. The humans could have destroyed the Empire. Yes, Theric replied. But they stopped once the civilians were safe. Another counselor looked unsettled. Why? Theric answered with the same conclusion every military strategist eventually reached about humanity. Because humans do not fight for conquest first. The room remained quiet. They fight for protection. That was what made humanity terrifying. Most empires sought expansion. Most militaries sought dominance. Humans sought permanence. Once humans decided something belonged under their protection, they became almost impossible to move. A younger council member spoke nervously. Then why are they here now? No one answered immediately, because nobody knew. Back on the bridge of the Valor, officers continued monitoring the Titan's approach. Long-range scans updated continuously. Still no escorts. Still no fleet support. Still only one ship. That somehow made everything worse. A tactical officer turned toward Theric as he re-entered the bridge. Commander, we have additional readings. Explain. The officer enlarged the energy analysis. The Titan is heavily suppressing its reactor output. How heavily? A pause. 18%. Murmurs spread again. At 18% operational output, the vessel already surpassed Velrothi fleet capacity. If it reached full activation, nobody finished the thought. The communications officer suddenly stiffened. Incoming transmission. Every head turned instantly. Audio only, she added. Play it. Static rolled softly through the bridge. Then a calm human voice filled the chamber. Deep, controlled, emotionless. This is human Titan Solace Eternal. The voice paused briefly. We are entering the system under reclamation protocol. The bridge froze. Reclamation, not invasion, not conquest. Reclamation. Commander Theric felt a slow heaviness settle in his chest. The human voice continued. We are not here for war. Transmission ended. No threats. No demands. No negotiation. Just certainty. The tactical officer swallowed nervously. Commander, what exactly are they reclaiming? Theric stared at the Titan growing larger against the stars. Then his eyes widened slightly. There was only one possibility. 38 cycles ago, during the border war, one human colony near the outer mining sectors had vanished after orbital bombardment. Velrothi records claimed all civilians were evacuated before the attack. Claimed, but human Titans did not cross entire sectors for empty space. And suddenly Commander Theric understood something terrifying. The humans had not come for revenge. They had come back for someone. The human Titan crossed the outer defense perimeter without slowing down. Thousands of Velrothi weapons tracked it automatically. Defense satellites aligned firing solutions. Fleet carriers powered shield arrays to maximum readiness. Still, the Titan did not react. It moved through the targeting locks as calmly as a moon passing through clouds. Commander Theric watched the tactical display carefully. No combat escalation from a human vessel. The sensor officer reported. No weapon alignment. No attack posture. The Titan behaved as if the entire defense fleet simply did not matter. That frightened everyone more than open hostility would have. The bridge lights flickered softly as another system-wide transmission echoed through every channel. Human, Titan present. The wording had changed. Not approaching anymore. Present, like a declaration. Like the humans had already decided they belonged here. High Council voices erupted instantly across the command network. They crossed our border. Deploy the carrier groups. We cannot appear weak. Attack and we repeat history. Another counselor argued. Commander Theric remained silent while the debate spiraled. Fear was transforming into pride, and pride was far more dangerous. A sharp alert interrupted the arguments. Commander, the communications officer said quickly, the Titan is altering course. The display updated. The massive vessel was not moving toward the Velrothi capital, not toward military installations, not toward defense stations. It was heading toward the outer mining ring, specifically Sector 12, the oldest region in the system. Theric's expression darkened immediately. Sector 12, the abandoned colony zone. 38 cycles ago, that region had once housed a human civilian settlement before the border war consumed it. After the conflict, the Velrothi claimed the territory and converted it into automated mining operations. Official reports declared the human colony destroyed. No survivors. No remaining infrastructure. At least that was the official version. The human Titan slowed further as it approached the distant world beneath the mining platforms. Then something unexpected happened. Small objects launched from the vessel. The tactical officer stiffened. Missiles? Negative, the sensor officer replied. Satellites. Dozens of compact structures spread outward from the Titan end. Perfect synchronization. They moved into orbital formation around the old colony world. Energy readings spiked. Not weapons. Shield emitters. The bridge fell silent as the realization spread. The humans were building a defensive perimeter inside Velrothi territory, without firing a shot, without requesting permission, without fear. Commander Theric felt the atmosphere on the bridge change completely. This was no longer a military maneuver. It was a statement. The human Titan was protecting something. The High Council channel reopened immediately. Commander Theric, Council Prime Avers demanded, "What is the meaning of this?" Theric answered carefully. The humans are fortifying the old colony zone. That territory belongs to the Union. Yes, Theric replied quietly, but humans may disagree. Silence. The Titan deployed its final satellite. A faint shimmering barrier formed around the old colony world. Soft blue light spread across orbital space like a protective shell. No civilian trade routes were blocked. No weapons targeted Velrothi assets. The shield grid only covered the abandoned colony sector. Nothing else. The human Titan then powered its engines down even further. Combat readiness dropped. Weapon systems remained inactive. It looked almost peaceful. The sensor officer frowned in confusion. "Commander, why lower defenses after entering hostile territory?" Therek kept staring at the distant vessel. "Because they did not feel threatened." That answer unsettled the bridge more than anything else. Suddenly another alert flashed red across the tactical display. "One of our patrol destroyers is moving toward the shield perimeter." Therek's eyes narrowed sharply. "Identify." "Captain Reiner of the destroyer Kelvax." The tactical feed expanded. A Velrothi destroyer accelerated toward the human defensive grid, weapons partially charged. Aggressive posture. The bridge atmosphere instantly tightened. Open channel. Captain Reiner appeared on screen, younger than Therek expected. Angry. Proud. "Return to formation immediately," Therek ordered. "With respect, Commander," Reiner replied. "They are fortifying our territory. They are not attacking. They are occupying." "Stand down." Reiner's jaw tightened. "If we allow this, we show weakness." Therek's voice hardened immediately. "If you provoke that Titan, you may destroy this entire system." The captain hesitated only briefly. Then his destroyer continued forward. A cold silence spread across the bridge. Everyone understood the danger now. Not because humans were aggressive, because they were patient. The destroyer stopped outside the shield boundary. Weapons charged slightly higher. Not enough for combat. Enough for insult. Captain Reiner transmitted openly. "Human vessel, you are operating illegally inside Velrothi territory. Withdraw immediately." No response. The human Titan remained motionless. Reiner's frustration deepened. "Respond." Silence again. Then, finally, the calm human voice returned across all frequencies. This world contained human civilians. The voice carried no anger, no emotion, only certainty. Captain Reiner scoffed. "That colony died decades ago." A pause followed. Then the human answered. "Humans do not abandon their dead." The bridge of the Veiler went completely silent. Commander Therek felt something cold move through his chest. Dead. Not territory. Not conquest. Graves. The old colony world was not strategically important. It was sacred. And subtly Therek understood the horrifying truth. The humans had not returned for war. They had returned because someone beneath that world was still waiting for them. The human Titan remained motionless above the colony world. Its shield network shimmered softly around the planet, like a protective veil. No weapons fired. No threats issued. Yet the entire Velrothi system felt trapped beneath the weight of its presence. Commander Therek stood silently on the bridge, while long-range scans continued sweeping beneath the planet's surface. Then the intelligence officer rushed forward. "Commander, we found something." Therek turned immediately. "Explain." The officer pulled archive records onto the central display. During the evacuation 38 cycles ago, 3 human transport ships were listed as destroyed during orbital withdrawal. "Listed," Therek repeated carefully. The officer nodded. No wreckage was ever recovered. A cold silence spread across the bridge. The implication arrived before anyone spoke it aloud. The transports may never have escaped. The intelligence officer continued nervously. "We expanded deep scan sweeps beneath the old colony sectors after the human Titan established the shield perimeter." Therek's eyes narrowed. "And—" The officer swallowed hard. "Life signs detected." Nobody moved. "Repeat that." "Faint population signatures beneath the surface. Artificial habitats. Low energy systems. Underground structures still operational." The bridge fell completely silent. The human Titan was not protecting ruins. It was protecting survivors. 38 cycles. 38 cycles underground. Commander Therek slowly looked back toward the massive vessel floating above the world. Humans had crossed half the galaxy. For people everyone else assumed were already dead, the High Council emergency channel reopened instantly. Council Prime Avarice appeared pale. "Commander, is the report accurate?" "Yes." Another council member spoke sharply. "That is impossible. No colony survives that long isolated." Therek answered quietly. "Humans do." The room fell silent again. That single sentence carried more weight than any military briefing. Humans survived. That was what made them terrifying. Not their weapons, not their titans, their refusal to quit. On the surface below, movement finally appeared. The lower hull of a human titan opened slowly. Dropships emerged from within the fortress vessel. Not assault craft, medical transports, engineering teams, recovery units. They descended toward the dead colony world carefully, almost gently. Commander Therek watched the live orbital feed in silence. The first shuttle touched down beside the remains of an ancient human settlement buried beneath dust and shattered metal. Then something happened that froze the entire bridge. A massive underground blast door began opening from beneath the colony ruins. Slowly, painfully slowly, as if it had not moved in decades. Dust rolled across the surface. Darkness stretched inside the bunker entrance. Then figures appeared. Humans. Thin, aged, exhausted, but alive. Nobody on the Velrothi bridge spoke. The camera zoomed closer. More survivors emerged into the sunlight carefully, shielding their eyes after decades underground. Children stood beside elders. Families, entire generations born beneath the surface, waiting. One small human child stepped forward slowly and looked upward toward the enormous titan hanging in orbit. Even through the distant audio distortion, her voice carried clearly enough across the feed. "They came back." Commander Therek felt something twist painfully inside his chest. The human titan had not arrived as a conqueror. It had arrived as a promise fulfilled. Across the bridge, hardened military officers stood speechless. No one had expected this. No one had prepared for this. The humans had never forgotten their people. Not after defeat. Not after decades. Not after silence. The High Council chamber remained utterly quiet until one counselor finally whispered, "We never searched for them." Therek answered honestly, "No." The truth hit harder than accusation ever could. The Velrothi had claimed the world, mined it, occupied it, profited from it, and never once looked beneath the surface deeply enough to find survivors, because they assumed nobody could endure that long. Humans had endured anyway. Suddenly alarms flashed across the bridge. "Commander, unidentified fleet entering outer system." The tactical display expanded instantly. Jump signatures erupted near the border. Not human, not Velrothi. Raiders. 20 fast attack cruisers dropped from hyperspace and accelerated directly toward the colony world. Pirates. They had detected instability and moved to exploit it. Commander Therek's voice hardened immediately. All defense fleets prepare interception. But before any Velrothi ships moved, the human titan reacted. The transformation was immediate. Engine flares ignited brighter across its hull. Shield strength multiplied. Weapon ports unfolded along its armored surface. Energy readings climbed rapidly. 30%, 40, 60. The bridge atmosphere turned cold with fear. Space itself seemed to vibrate around the vessel. The pirate fleet hesitated briefly after detecting the power surge. Then greed overcame caution. They accelerated toward the planet anyway. The calm human voice transmitted across all channels. "You are entering a protected civilian zone." The pirates ignored the warning. The human titan fired. Not wildly, not dramatically. Precise magnetic strikes flashed across space. 3 pirate cruisers vanished instantly. No explosions, just annihilation. The remaining pirate ships attempted evasive maneuvers. Human interceptor craft launched from the Titan beneath layers of armor hangars. Fast, silent, deadly. Within 2 minutes, the pirate fleet ceased to exist. The Titan stopped firing immediately. No pursuit, no revenge, no celebration. It simply returned to guard position above the colony world. Calm again. Commander Therek stared at the tactical display in disbelief. The human Titan had just defended Velrothi territory without being asked, and below it, the rescued survivors continued boarding evacuation shuttles peacefully beneath the protection of the fortress in the sky. For the first time in his military career, Commander Theric no longer feared humanity. He respected it. The colony world no longer looked dead. Light spread slowly across the surface as human engineers restored ancient power grids buried beneath decades of dust. Broken cities flickered back to life sector by sector. Above the planet, the human Titan hovered silently like a second moon, watching, guarding, waiting. Commander Theric stood on the bridge of the Valor, observing the reconstruction efforts below when a High Council emergency summons activated again. This time the atmosphere inside the chamber felt different. Fear remained, but now another emotion fought beside it. Pride. Council General Varric, Supreme Commander of the Velrothi Defense Forces, appeared in armored uniform beside the other leaders. His expression was hard. "We cannot allow this to continue," Varric said immediately. "They have fortified territory inside our borders. They protected civilians," another counselor argued. "They entered without permission and prevented pirate occupation." Varric ignored the interruption. "Our fleets still outnumber theirs." Commander Theric answered before anyone else could speak. "Not in firepower." Varric's eyes narrowed. "That assessment is based on historical records." "It is based on reality," Theric replied coldly. The chamber grew tense instantly. General Varric activated tactical projections across the room. "We deploy heavy carriers here, and here," he explained. "The Titan becomes surrounded. We pressure them into withdrawal." "And if they refuse?" Theric asked. Varric's silence lasted only a moment. "Then we demonstrate strength." Commander Theric felt anger rising for the first time since the crisis began. "We already tested human resolve once," he said quietly, "and lost." Varric stepped forward. "That was decades ago. So was their technology." Silence followed. Nobody argued with that. Before the debate could continue, warning alarms erupted across the command network. Outer system breach detected. The tactical display expanded rapidly. Another fleet had entered the system. Not pirates this time. Warships. 32 heavy battlecruisers bearing the insignia of the Dravian Dominion, a rival empire, one that had wanted Velrothi territory for years. And now they smelled weakness. The Dominion commander transmitted openly across all frequencies. "Velrothi authority in this sector has collapsed. The Dravian Dominion now claims military jurisdiction." The bridge of the Valor went silent. General Varric cursed softly. The Dominion fleet accelerated directly toward the colony world. Commander Theric looked instantly toward the human Titan. The fortress vessel slowly turned to face the incoming armada. Then, for the first time, the human Titan reached full combat activation. The sight was horrifying. Energy flooded across the massive hull in glowing waves. Layered shield rings ignited around the ship like orbiting suns. Weapon systems unfolded from beneath armored plates across the vessel's surface. Space itself appeared distorted around the Titan from gravitational overload. The sensor officer's voice trembled. "Commander, reactor output at 100%. No one on the bridge spoke. Now they understood. Everything before this had been restraint. The calm human voice transmitted across every channel in the system. "The civilian protection zone is under human defense authority." The Dravian commander laughed openly. "One ship?" No answer came. The Dominion fleet fired first. Hundreds of plasma lances crossed space simultaneously and slammed into human Titan shields. The impact lit the darkness like a newborn star. The shields held, barely flickering. Then the Titan fired back. Not wildly, not emotionally, perfectly. Mass driver cannons accelerated tungsten strikes across impossible distances. White beams carved through Dominion formations with surgical precision. Entire battlecruisers vanished instantly. No missed shots, no wasted energy, no panic, only efficiency. The human Titan moved through the battlefield like inevitability itself. 5 minutes later, half the Dominion fleet was gone. The survivors turned to flee. The Titan did not pursue beyond system boundaries. The moment the threat retreated, the human vessel powered down to defensive levels again. Calm, silent, controlled. Commander Theric looked around the bridge. Every officer wore the same expression. Awe. Not because the human Titan destroyed an enemy fleet, but because it stopped once the danger ended. General Varric stared speechlessly at the tactical feed. Our fleets, he whispered, would never survive that. No, Theric answered quietly. They would not. The High Council chamber remained silent for a long moment. Then Council Prime Avarice finally spoke. They defended our system. Without hesitation, Theric corrected him. No, the chamber looked toward him. They defended civilians. That distinction changed everything. The humans had not seized territory. They had not demanded surrender. They had not conquered Velrothi's space, despite possessing the power to do so. They had drawn one line around innocent lives and refused to let violence cross it. General Varric slowly lowered his eyes. If we attacked them now... He stopped speaking, because everyone already knew the ending. Council Prime Avarice finished the sentence quietly. Then we become the aggressors. The room fell silent again. Outside the command station viewport, the human Titan floated peacefully above a recovering colony world. Not like a conqueror, not like an invader, like a guardian standing watch beside a promise kept. Commander Theric stared at the enormous vessel and finally understood the real reason humanity frightened the galaxy. Human power was not terrifying because of what it could destroy. Human power was terrifying because humans chose so carefully what deserved protection. The system changed after the battle. Not immediately, not loudly, but slowly, like the turning of a tide. Trade routes reopened first. Civilian freighters resumed movement through the outer sectors. Mining operations near the colony world restarted under joint monitoring agreements. And above it all, the human Titan remained in orbit, silent, steady, present. Commander Theric stood alone inside the observation chamber of the Veiler, staring to the wide glass viewport toward a massive fortress hanging above the restored world. For the first time in many cycles, space fell calm again. Behind him, the doors opened softly. Commander, the communications officer said carefully, the humans are requesting diplomatic contact. Theric nodded once. Open the channel. The chamber lights dimmed slightly as the transmission activated. A human officer appeared on the screen. Older, calm, wearing a dark gray uniform without medals or decoration. Behind him stretched part of the Titan's immense interior hull. This is Admiral Elias Ward of the human Titan Solace Eternal. Commander Theric straightened slightly. Commander Theric of the Velrothi Defense Fleet. A second hologram appeared beside him. Council Prime Avarice. Neither side spoke for several seconds. There was no hatred left in the silence now, only caution. Avarice finally broke it. You entered our territory without authorization. Admiral Ward nodded once. Yes. You established military defenses without permission. Yes. You engaged hostile fleets inside Velrothi borders. Yes. Every answer came calmly. No excuses. No apology, just truth. Then Admiral Ward added quietly, we would do so again. The statement was not arrogance. It was conviction. Avarice studied the human carefully. You claim this world now? Ward shook his head. We claim responsibility. Commander Theric felt the atmosphere shift immediately. Not ownership, responsibility. That single word changed the entire meaning of the conflict. Avarice leaned slightly forward. Responsibility for what? The human admiral's expression softened almost invisibly. For our people. Silence returned again, but now it felt different. Heavier. Human. Ward continued quietly. 38 cycles ago, this colony transmitted emergency evacuation signals until orbital collapse. Images appeared beside him. Old recordings. Families inside underground shelters. Children waiting in darkness. Weak emergency beacons repeating endlessly beneath the surface. We believe them lost, Ward said. But one beacon continued transmitting once every standard cycle. Commander Theric's chest tightened slowly. The signal. The original signal had never been meant for the Velrothi. It was meant for the survivors. A promise. Ward continued. Last cycle, the beacon strengthened. The Admiral paused briefly. That meant someone was still alive. The chamber remained utterly silent. Then Ward spoke the words that finally made Commander Theric understand humanity completely. We do not abandon our own. No threats, no speeches, no demands, just truth. And somehow that truth felt more powerful than every fleet battle that came before it. Council Prime Avarice looked toward the restored colony world, turning slowly beneath the station. What happens now? Ward answered immediately. A permanent humanitarian protection zone around the colony. Murmurs spread quietly across the council channels. The Admiral continued. No expansion beyond the sector. No interference with Velrothi governance. No occupation of your worlds. Only protection. Clear. Simple. Limited. Commander Theric realized something important then. Humans could have taken the entire system. Instead, they asked only for the right to keep civilians safe. General Verrett's hologram appeared again beside the council. His voice carried none of its earlier aggression now. If we accept this arrangement, our authority changes. Commander Theric answered before anyone else could speak. So does our future. Verrick looked toward him silently. Theric continued. The Dravian Dominion attacked because they believed division made us weak. He looked toward the human Titan. They no longer believe that. Silence followed. Council Prime Avarice slowly exhaled. Then, finally, he spoke the words that would reshape the entire region. The Velrothi Union recognizes a human humanitarian protection claim over the colony world under shared system oversight. The chamber froze. Admiral Ward inclined his head respectfully. Accepted. No further territorial expansion. Agreed. No hostile military action against Velrothi assets. Agreed. Avarice paused carefully before adding the final condition. Mutual defense against external threats. The human admiral studied him for a moment, then nodded once. Agreed. Just like that, the war everyone feared never happened. Hours later, the treaty broadcast spread across nearby systems. The Dravian Dominion withdrew all border pressure. Pirate activity across the sector dropped sharply. Trade alliances stabilized. But the greatest change was not political. It was psychological. The galaxy no longer saw humans merely as dangerous. Now they saw something worse for their enemies. Reliable, above the restored colony world. Light spread across rebuilt cities, once abandoned beneath the dust. Human children walked beneath open skies again. Velrothi cargo ships moved peacefully through nearby orbit. And above them all, the human Titan remained motionless against the stars. Not threatening, not conquering, guarding. Commander Theric stood once more before the observation glass as the second officer approached quietly beside him. Do you trust them? The officer asked. Theric thought for a long moment. Then he answered honestly. No. The officer looked surprised. Theric kept watching the massive fortress in orbit. But I respect them. Far above the world, a final signal echoed softly through space. Steady, calm, enduring. Human, Titan present. This time, nobody panicked, because now the galaxy understood what it truly meant. Humanity had not returned for revenge. Humanity had returned to keep its promise.